What is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to our next episode of Motor Time with Motor Misfits. As always, I am Dan, joined with my counterpart, Craig. How are you today, Craig?
Oh, wonderful. Spring is in the air. We've got 70, 80-degree weather coming up, pretty much all week long. We've got 70-degree weather right now. I've actually been opening my pool, so it's getting open, ready for some
How's
swimming
that
and
coming
awesome
along? I
stuff.
know you. I know over the weekend you were pouring some stuff in, and you were kind of playing around with some different chemicals.
Yeah,
Is
so
it looking better?
yeah, it's blue. It's ready. It's of course cloudy or whatever, but it's only Tuesday. I've only been working on it about 2 days, so going from green nasty leafy water to blue in 2 days. I'm pretty happy with that.
How long does it usually take to open up your pool?
I mean, I can, if I really stay on it and really work at it, I can get it open in 3 or 4 days. You could swim in it right now. It's just, a little cloudy. So, but,
I
you
got you.
know,
As long as you don't get any diseases, you're fine, right?
yeah, for sure. So, Allie, my daughter was actually in it yesterday. So she got in it and swam around a little bit. So, and she's
I got
alive
you. And the
today.
water
So,
temperature is pretty good. I
70,
mean, it's still probably
I think she
chilly.
said yesterday it was 73, 74. So it's still a little chilly. I like it at about 80. That's a nice temperature. So,
Well, the nice part about your pool is it's positioned perfectly. There's really no shade that's around
yeah.
it, so it's getting the constant sun. Once it peaks up over your house,
Yep.
it's
And
getting sun for 12, 16 hours.
yeah, and if you're cold, go get in the hot tub.
There you go.
So
By
that's
the
the.
way, you had another project. I know that
Oh, I
your
didn't. I
wife was
was I
working
was
on that.
completely out of that one. That was not a Craig
Well,
project
no,
at
I'm just
all.
saying another project that was
Yeah.
going on, and I think she did an amazing job on
Oh
that.
yeah,
It looks
looks
really, really
wonderful.
good.
So
So, but are you excited? I mean, we're got what is it? Today's Tuesday. We got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I mean, we got this trip to Uranus. Let's talk
Wednesday,
about this.
Thursday,
I mean,
Friday, three sleeps, man.
three
Yeah.
sleeps. So, for those that are have been sleeping under a rock the last I don't know 5, 6 episodes, um,
5 months.
but this week, yeah, this weekend, a group of the Misfits are going to all three Uranus fudge factories, which I know people are like, "Whoa, there's three of them." Believe me, I didn't
Heck
know
yeah.
either until I went to the second one, and then I heard there was a third one. So the original one is in St. Roberts, Missouri, which is
Yeah.
basically hour and a half south of St. Louis,
Correct.
southwest of St. Louis.
Yeah. Yep.
And they are kind of like just a
Roadside attraction.
like a roadside attraction. And if you've never been there, it's really, really cool. I've been there once. They've got tons of different things there, and they like to use the play on words of, Uranus being, the 12-year-old kid. um, but, they say get your fudge packed in Uranus. It's always moist in Uranus, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the original one, and that's kind of where we're going to end up. But we're actually starting on Saturday. See, that's their logo. They
That's their
actually use a
logo, the rocket
rocket
ship.
ship,
So
which is the members that are going on that. We do have a couple extra. If
yeah.
you'd like to purchase, they're $20 a piece, which goes back into the kitty that allows us to do our next round of patches or stickers or shirts or whatnot. So those are really, really cool. They came out really nice.
Heck yeah. Those are dope.
So on Saturday morning, we are meeting in Anderson, Indiana, at the Uranus Fudge Factory. They open up at 9 o'clock. Is that
Yeah. Nine
correct?
9 o'clock they open.
Eastern, 9 o'clock Eastern, for those that watch us in the Central. So we're going to be there at 9 o'clock. We are going to do on this trip. We're going to kind of not only just do the podcast, but on this one we're going to kind of start playing around with doing a video vlog on our different rides and different trips and different things like that. So you're going to be able to see all the, from getting ready at, we're staying at mom's house, actually,
Yeah.
aka Craig's mom, but mom's house.
She's everybody's
Which
mom.
thank you, Mama Shar. We appreciate
Yeah.
you. She's the one that made this awesome diamond art picture for me. Um, but we're gonna stay at Mama Shar's. Hopefully, she said she was coming,
Yep.
but then she
That's
said
the
she
word on
didn't
the
know
street.
yet,
Word on the street
and
is
then
she's
she said
coming.
she's
So
coming again. So we already got a list. We already found out what her snacks are. We're gonna make sure we have those in the car for us. But we're gonna do just a video of the entire trip. Um, and so we're heading from Anderson. We're going about 60, 70 miles southeast. Is that
correct.
correct?
Yeah. Yep.
To Fisher. Is it Fisher?
Richmond.
No,
Richmond.
Richmond, Richmond, Indiana, which is Uranus actually number three.
Correct.
But we're going two, three, and then one.
Yeah.
And then we are going to head direct west, go through the state of Indiana, and then go through the state of Illinois, and then get through St. Louis and all that other stuff, and then end up in St. Roberts, Missouri. We're going to do this all in one day. We're going to video it from the stops that we make. It's going to be basically every 60 to 70 miles. We're going to stop, stretch our legs. Craig is really, really good about mapping out stuff and finding stuff. I sent him earlier today. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
this is kind of on the way.
I think that's on the way
But
back. I think we're gonna hit that Sunday.
Okay, perfect. So in Illinois, it's Millington. Is that correct?
I'd have
What
to
was
look it up
it?
again.
Let me look on my phone here. But anyways, in Illinois, we have a place that's called Casey. It's
Yeah.
Casey, Illinois, and it has 12 of the world's largest um, things, basically,
Things.
like the
Yeah, I don't even
largest
know what you call it.
rocking
They're just
chair,
things.
the largest barber pole, mousetrap,
Rocking
um,
horse,
rocking horse.
golf tee. Like I mean, they got
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. I spent a lot of time on that
So they have,
website checking them
and
out.
so
So
I was like, oh, it's right on the highway and
yeah.
whatnot. So I thought that was kind of a cool little stop. Um, but anyways, we're gonna go through Illinois. Every 60, 70 miles, we're gonna stop. Just enjoy the weather. It is gonna be a little chilly in the beginning, but hopefully warm up. I don't see any. I'm gonna knock on wood
I
here.
was gonna
I
say you
don't
better
see any
find some
rain
wood
in
right
in the
now.
uh, I don't see any rain in the forecast, but when you ride with Craig, and you'll know that
I'll find you some. I'll
rain
find
will
you some
find
rain.
us. Rain will find us. But overall, it's going to be a great trip. It's going to be about 350, four
Yeah,
hundred
three
miles, give
fifty,
or
four
take.
hundred miles, somewhere in that range. So, not
So
a
we're going
not a
to do that in
killer
one
day, but
day.
still a pretty good amount of miles to knock off in one day, along with the stops that we plan on making. So, it'll be a full day of riding, but it'll be
Exactly.
a lot of
So,
fun.
and some of the people that are on the ride haven't been on a long trip, specifically on a bike.
Yeah,
So we'll see how that goes. And this is kind of tuning us up for our trip that we have at the end of the month, for when we do the Devil's Triangle,
yeah.
the um,
Moonshiner
Tail of the
28,
Dragon, Moonshiner 28,
Cherry
Trail
Hall
of Hollow,
Skyway,
Skyway, and all that other
Six
stuff. So
Gaps, all the stuff down in that
all
kind of
the
area. But the big question
so
that we're kind of talking about today is what do you do to get ready for a ride like this or like the Tennessee ride? What do you do? Well, for me, the first thing I do, which Dan already hinted at, was I get a route figured out. What in the world are we doing? Where in the world are we going? How are we getting there? What roads are we doing? And not specifically stops, but kind of have a beginning destination and an end destination, and how are we getting through from one point to the next. Then after that, you start thinking, weather related? What kind of stuff am I going to need weather related? Dan mentioned, hey, it's going to be cold. Do you need cold weather stuff? Do you need, coats and jackets and chaps and heated gear and that type of stuff? Or are you going to be okay in your t-shirt and your jeans and that type of stuff? What kind of clothing are you going to need for it? The and along with that, I look, hey, are we heading into helmet states? Because Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky are not helmet states, so you don't have to wear a helmet. But then once you get into Tennessee, you have to have one. So do you need a helmet? So just kind of the logistics of number one, where are you going? How are you getting there? What roads are you taking? And B, what kind of gear do you need, clothing wise, to be warm, to be comfortable, to be happy on the road? Because there's nothing worse than getting out on the road and being like, oh man, I dressed way too warm. I've got a sweatshirt and a flannel over that, and a long sleeve shirt and a t-shirt, and I'm 4 miles into this ride and I'm burning up.
Right. And just to piggyback on that, it's always better to dress in layers because you can always peel them off.
Yeah.
You know, and when you ride with a group of people that like who you know who you're riding with, nobody's gonna say, "Hey, no, I don't have room to put your hoodie in the
Yeah.
bag." If you're riding um, something that doesn't have storage or whatever.
Right.
So,
So those.
with me, when I do cold weather riding, and I don't mean to jump
No,
on
go
this, but
for
I
it.
know we're gonna keep going through it. I like wearing, I always wear an undershirt, and then I'll go ahead and I'll throw a t-shirt on under that. Then I'll do a long sleeve t-shirt. I was out riding today, so I was wearing a long sleeve t-shirt. Then I threw my hoodie on. Then I threw my vest on. So I've got 5 layers already. And a lot of people laugh, but the vest actually does cut
Yeah.
down on a lot of noise,
Heck yeah.
a lot of road wind and whatnot. Now mine, I have a mesh one, so it kind of breathes a little bit better. But with the leather, especially when you got the sun to your back or the
Yeah.
front, it's another. We
Another
all wear
layer,
black,
like, yeah. And that's
and it's absorbing the
that's one
heat.
that I want to jump on. You know, w- Warm weather gear is relative to people. My wife, she's cold all the time. She's freezing. So I've bought her heated gear. Like literally, she
Say that again.
hooks it all together. Yeah, smoking hot. But you hook it all together and you
Not
plug it
that
into
way. You know what I meant.
you hook it all together, you plug it in, and I mean it runs off the battery of the bike, and she's warm all the time. She's got heated socks, heated pants, heated vest, heated gloves. She's warm. Um, if I were to put that on and try to ride in it, I would be like sweating. It would just be too much for me. So for me, a lot of times, like you said, dress in layers, but my layers are like a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a flannel, and my vest, and I can ride in 40-degree weather just in that.
You rode that like that
Yeah,
when it was piss poor raining when
true.
we were going down to this trip
Yeah, yeah, I did do
before.
that.
But they do have stuff out there that whatever kind of rider you are, if you're somebody that bundles up, or you're somebody that just I don't want to dress for the occasion. There's something out there. I know Craig wears chaps quite
Yeah,
often. Now, I'm a bigger guy. I've never really been like, oh, let me get a pair of chaps or let me get a leather vest. For one, there'd be two less cows in the world because I would need chaps and a jacket. But leather to me is so constrictive in a sense of, and I know that with chaps you have to break them in.
oh
Like
yeah,
they have to somewhat.
mine are
So
mine are
me,
broken in for sure.
oh, for sure. But for me to go out and buy a pair tomorrow and
Yeah,
be ready for them on Friday or Saturday, I am not going to have them broken in, and I'm going to be very, very uncomfortable
oh
and
yeah,
whatnot. Because comfort is the most crucial point when you're doing a long trip like this. Nice pair of socks. Make sure your boots are comfortable. Make sure you laugh, but make sure you got a nice, comfortable pair of underwear.
yeah,
I personally love Shinestee. That's just it's got the nice ball hammock. We're not sponsored, but Shinestee, if
yeah.
you want to sponsor us, we'd love to test out your product. Um, but it's down to the little things.
Yeah, and you don't
You know,
realize how much that matters because if you've got and not to steal the thunder there of a nice pair of underwear
yeah,
or whatever, but if you get some underwear that are constrictive and you're sitting on it for 10 hours, that's miserable. And then you're going to be like, oh, I don't
yeah,
want to go ride. That's not any fun. Well, if you're just comfortable in what you've got, that's the whole reason. Everybody laughs. Oh, I don't carry rain gear. Well, it's because it's not comfortable to me. I hate it. Like I
yeah.
put on rain gear and I'm still soaking wet underneath, and I don't like it. So that's why I don't use it. I use my leather chaps and my vest, and I call it good, and I'll ride in the rain just like that. But that's
Exactly. I mean,
that's
I have a pair of rain gear, but my rain gear uh, is just oversized freaking sweatsuit, man. That's
Yeah.
you know what I
Well, I've
mean.
I've got rain
And
gear and I've worn it, and I haven't found rain gear that keeps me dry. I found rain gear that keeps me less wet, but I'm still wet. So it's one of those, hey, if you've got some, make sure you comment, if you've got some rain gear that's really good out there that you like. But I haven't found any that keeps me dry, and that's what if I'm going to wear rain gear, I want it to keep me dry, and I haven't found it yet.
yeah, yeah.
And if there's some out there, share that, and maybe I'll change my mind. But for now, I'm just gonna wear my chaps and my leather vest and just be wet.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing that I never thought about this is that I know we've talked about what do you pack in your bike and all that other stuff, but I really think that, you laugh at this, grabbing a crappy t-shirt that you still wear or whatever, throw that in the bike.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because if you get soaking wet, you don't want to put on a wet shirt or just roll around because again, when it rains, what happens? 90% of the time it's cold.
yep,
The cold's following it.
yep,
So that might be something that you think about in your next time when you do on motorcycle trips. Hey, do I have a crappy t-shirt?
yep.
But, you know, with us
Another
getting ready for a trip, go ahead.
another
Go ahead.
big thing that getting ready for a trip, you want to make sure that your bike's in good shape, but you also want to make sure that you've got stuff that you can fix it along the road if you need to. You're not gonna
Exactly.
fix a blown motor. You're not gonna fix that type of stuff. But if you have a toolkit, that you can do some minor things, that'll get you down the road to the gas station. Where if you're stuck on the side of the road, that'll help out. Along with that, we carry a air compressor and a battery charger that's all together in one, and works out real nice to be able to charge batteries. If somebody can't get their bike to start, you can plug it right onto their battery and get their bike started up for them. Also, if you've got a tire that goes down, you can pump air into it. And those things, they're not meant as a fix. Like, hey, if your tire's going down, you're not going to fix it on the side of the road, but you're going to be able to get it down the road to a gas station where you can get it fixed. That's the thing that you're looking for. Not necessarily a fix, but a temporary fix to get it down the road somewhere where they could replace a tire, or whatever it is that you need. And that's something that we've got a video out on our YouTube page to look at. Hey, here's what we carry. Um,
You can find that link somewhere down
yeah, somewhere
here
somewhere
somewhere.
down below, somebody will take care of that. Our editing guy will add that in. Um, but those things you don't really think of, but they can definitely be a lifesaver where you're stranded on the side of the highway, and you've got tools that then can fix whatever it is you need.
Absolutely. With getting ready too, you said check your bike.
Yeah,
If you're riding with the group, walk around everybody else's bike,
yeah,
just for giggles, because a lot of times, I've ridden with people and I'd be like, hey, your rear tire's pretty bad.
yeah.
What are
Well,
you
and that
talking about? I'm like, it's really bad.
yeah,
Now
you
that
can't
goes
see that.
into checking your bike too.
Yeah, you can't,
That goes
like,
in you checking it.
you when you're riding can't see your rear tire. So you don't know what
Nope.
it looks like as it's turning underneath your bike. But somebody who rides behind you can see it. So that's where the big difference, the big help is. You know,
Absolutely, absolutely. And just check the bike. I mean, and don't be offended if someone says, "Hey, I checked your bike. Anybody that you're going to ride with a long distance, you trust them.
Yeah.
I trust all the people that I ride with. Like if something were to happen, I know that they will be able to get my bike into a safe place and they'll be able to figure that out. If for whatever reason something happened,
Right.
and vice versa. I think any of us would be around
Yeah, we're gonna
same
we're gonna
thing. So
brainstorm it and figure it out.
exactly. They're not going to leave you, behind. We always have this rule that you don't leave by yourself. If one leaves, everybody leaves, kind of
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
And that's my mentality that I've had since I started riding. Find your buddy or find the people that you ride with, and hey, and then check in. The other thing too is, we all have iPhones or we have Androids. There's all sorts of different apps out there nowadays that you can share your location. Now, again, it's not being Big Brother and it's
Yeah.
not someone stalking you or whatever. But if you're going on a long trip, you know, turn on your location for that person.
Right.
Or Craig and I always we have our location shared 24/7, so it's like not a big deal. But um, you know, with that, because if something does happen and you're cruising at 80 and you're just enjoying yourself, you turn around and be like, "Oh shit, there's nobody behind me."
Nobody there.
Now
What
you can
happened?
go to that app, you can look to see
You can
and
pull up right where
whatnot.
they were. Yeah.
Exactly. And then also the other thing too is that we really don't talk about is have everybody's number in your phone, but also have a group chat specifically phone, not in Facebook, not in Snapchat, not whatever, but have a group chat or a group text message chain. I know they suck sometimes because
Yeah.
everybody's bing 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 bing. However, if I need to get a hold of Jay and you're not answering me, I know I can try to get a hold of somebody.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah. Somebody's gonna
hey,
answer.
or if I'm just out with Craig, or if I'm out with, a group of people and something were to happen, hey, Craig's phone freaking went flying at 90 miles an hour
Yeah.
on the highway. I don't know. I don't know if Craig memorizes J number. He may, but sometimes people don't memorize
Maybe.
numbers anymore.
That
You know
that's
what I
one that I
mean?
do I do know hers, but if you ask me your number, I don't know your number. Your number's programmed in my phone
I
as
don't know.
speed
I
dial
don't know
number
your
one.
number either.
So
You know,
one
but
thing that I make sure I've got on all of my trips, and it's something that a lot of people kind of overlook, and they're thinking, oh, it's so you can make videos and all this stuff. It's not. Is my cameras, because my cameras are also my security of, hey, this person pulled out in front of me, or I got hit from the side or whatever. I've got cameras on my bike that record forward and backwards. So, I've got video documentation of exactly what went on, exactly what happened. So, and that's one that may be a
exactly.
little over the top for some people, but when you're doing it and you're making videos of it, you got it anyway, so you might as well run it. And it,
Right.
it it has come in handy a couple of times for me just because I've got video evidence of exactly what happened. Here's what went down. Here's how it happened.
Right.
So
And those cameras, like my dad recently bought myself and Sarah a dash cam for the cars, and they're pretty reasonable. I think my
yeah,
dad picked
yeah,
them up off a TikTok shop for like $30, and it plugs right in your cigarette lighter. I have hers mounted right up underneath your mirror, and it's about no bigger than
yeah. It's like a credit
a
card.
pack of gum.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's got a forward-facing camera and it's got a backwards-facing camera. That's all in one. The back one kind of is weird because it only sees like whatever you can be pressed out the back window. So if someone
yeah,
is going to rear end you, you have that. But it's definitely good documentation. It's basically a CYA because people around here, in the Chicagoland area, are they don't give a crap. Part of my
yeah,
French, um, but it's definitely something that it will cover you. God forbid something did happen, you know that you have that digital mark because not only is it video recorded, it's time stamped.
yep,
It's what was the weather? Was it raining? Was it dry? Was the pavement? Was there, oh, you saw a semi drop a piece of steel off the truck, and then all of a sudden, now you have the truck plate number, you have where it happened, and so on and so forth. So it's just a longer process just to keep you covered. You know, the other thing too, that when you're doing trips, we all have cell phones, but cords.
Yeah.
Don't forget your cords for your phone. And
And
then
don't
I
forget that they
just
go
picked
bad
up,
when you ride in the rain. Like they get
yeah.
soaked and they don't work.
So I just picked up off of the TikTok shop, and I'm not by any ways affiliated with this brand, but this. So it plugs in. Oh, it's right here. So it plugs in to the USB, and you can plug your phone in just like normal. But on this one, and this is kind of why I thought it was kind of cool, is, can I turn it on here? So, anyways, it will
Charge
it
your
just
phone while it's going.
mounts right on the back of my phone. Yeah, it adds a lot of weight, but this is 22.5 watts of recharging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's gonna fast charge, and this was only like $15, 10, $15 for what it is. Keep this. Like, I'm gonna take this, and I'm actually gonna put it in the little bag, which I think we should have Jay come on one
Yeah.
one
Talk about her
day
bike
and
bags.
talk about her little bike bag. But this is something that I think should be added, which I'm gonna add it to mine, because it's always that incidental, you know.
Yeah.
And so what we're talking about is Craig's wife made a little bag, about little toiletry bag, that has pretty much anything and everything you could think of that you need: aspirins, um, nail clippers,
Band aids.
Tylenol, band aids, cold medicine, allergy medicine, and it's all the stuff. I believe she got a lot of it from the dollar store. So
Yeah.
I think it's all of maybe $20,
Yeah.
25
Maybe.
bucks, give or take, including the bag. That's if you added other stuff to it. But it's definitely something that nice to have when you need it, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
don't worry, I got you, boom boom, and
Yep.
and which is a great little thing that you don't realize. But I think we'll talk about that, or maybe have a Jay do a video for us on that,
Yeah. For
so that
sure.
people can see, like, hey, this might be a good idea to have, to not to get long-winded on the trips, but the biggest thing on your trips, and the one thing you need to not forget, is to have fun.
Yeah. For sure.
Do you know what I mean? Don't sweat it. This is the time for you to basically forget everything that's going on, enjoy yourself, enjoy the scenery, because we live in a very beautiful scenery landscape of of a country. No matter how the crap that's going on, if you just stop and you just look at everything that's going on, just from Indianapolis to St. Louis, yeah, it's going to be a lot of plains and whatnot. But when you get into the southern tip of Illinois, it does become a little bit more um, traverse,
Yeah.
if that's the right word. But then you're going past St. Louis. You have the arch that's man-made. Back in the early 1900s or mid 1900s, whatever it was, you know, they built this without technology, with basically just things that they came up with. So enjoy it, enjoy yourself, enjoy the people that you're with. Don't sweat the small stuff, and just keep rolling.
I think
So,
that's great
but
advice to end on right there. I think you gave it without asking, but the advice for the day,
exactly.
that's perfect. So, I think we're gonna wrap this one up. This does drop, like we said, every Tuesday. Make sure that you're liking, subscribing, and sharing to the YouTube page, to the Facebook page, the Instagram, Twitter, everything that's out there. Make sure that you're liking all of them, because we're releasing content everywhere at all times. And with that, Dan, we will see them next Tuesday, right? Yeah, Tuesday.
Tuesday. See you next Tuesday.